even care on what they say. We should always be oriented to doing what Sophia is doing right now and getting that up as quickly as possible on YouTube, which I realize is also a very large corporation, Google. Getting it out there through the possibilities that internet offers us, and just think increasingly Fox News. The way it's going to be dealt with is that no one's going to be watching it at some point. They have half the audience that they had 2 years ago, and it's only going to get worse for them. So the hell with them. All of them, of course. And politicians, I feel a little bit differently. I feel like maybe we should be looking to get involved. Maybe there should be an Occupy candidate in every city council election. We're having the city council elections now. There will be no such thing as what I said. And maybe there should be. So, maybe we should think which politicians can we actually be friendly with, because there are politicians who approach us. We have that right now in Astoria, sort of thing with Costa and with Linda. Sorry. So next was Cora.
Yeah. So I was not here in Occupy, so I really didn't live Occupy, but I have my experience in Spain with our 15M movement and the South movement. And yes, basically, more or less in the same way as happened here, was a huge movement at the beginning and then progressively decay. And right now I think it's in a way starting to come back to life, and I think how it did it was because it started to be linked with different organizations that were, or different struggles that were already happening. Right now, for instance, they are working a lot with an organization against evictions. They are also working for defending the public education and public health. So I think that a little bit linking with the idea of someone mentioned before, like the idea of make brother the struggle and try to grow the movement, trying to take bigger spaces. I think that it's very important to keep alive the energy of the movement, to have like specific battles that allow us to feel that we are gaining something, that we are winning something, that we have power to reach or to gain our space. And I think in that sense, in Spain, what work was like linking with different organizations, not only with Occupy base, but also with things that were already moving. Yeah.
So Ted, and who's Stack? Right. Well, I will add Frank. Ted first, because he was on Frank. Frank. Okay. And Rob. And Lisa and Jane. And we're going to close Stack. Oh, Eleanor. Okay. And keep in mind it's 15 minutes. So, who did I say? Ted.
I'm somebody who was a first-time activist at Zuccotti Park. I went down September 19th and was really blown away by what I saw. So, I'm new to this game, and very gratefully so to be immersed in a lot of new ideas, and my life personally has changed so much in these last year and a half, 2 years. So I'm grateful for that. It's made me more engaged, more of a student. So someone alluded to earlier, like appreciating the small moments, and I always try to find the balance between the micro and the macro, because I think it's so important, whether it's you're talking about micro being these neighborhood occupies, or micro even talking about yourself. And I often reflect back onto Another World is Possible. I think that's an important thing to really take in, and because Another World is Possible starts with, how am I changing? What can I do? How can I relate more kindly, whether it's an email or an interaction? So I constantly think back to that phrase, Another World is Possible, on the micro level. And that's how it happens on the macro level. So certainly with Occupy Astoria, the things that we've done, we've had things, whether it's a bank action at Occupy the City, Citibank building, or things that are maybe perhaps a little more social in nature, the Occu Picnic, or our ongoing documentary film series. So I try to take away from each one of those actions, there's little moments that occur, a conversation. Mark made chili a couple weeks ago, and these little actions that people do. Someone mentioned Samumba earlier. His ubiquitous presence. People are all around us do these inspiring things, these beautiful things that embody another world is possible. So I try to really just reflect on those small moments, because I think that does ultimately build the larger movement. And I think you talked about sometimes the air coming out of the balloon with the excitement of that mass movement kind of dissipating. But I think the conditions that cause those things are still there, and probably even exacerbating. So we can't really know, like things that just popped off in Turkey, all over the country. We don't know what that next thing will be, but I think we know it will come. So for me, what I try to do, and what I'm so grateful about for Occupy Astoria, is that it is an opportunity to engage on the local level with community and to appreciate these micro moments of building movement on the smaller level that has roots that you can't really quantify. Yeah.
Thank you, Ted. Just one question. When do you think, because you're much more involved in the cafe, when do you think it'll be ready to open in Astoria, the cafe?
The cafe, just quickly, again, here's a micro moments, right? Mark got 5,000 books from Tuli Kupferberg from the Fugs, counterculture musician, poet. His son was donating 5,000 books, heard that, Mark heard about him. He said, we'd love to give you these books. So all of a sudden we have 5,000 books. Well, now what do we do? Luigi, one of our members, has a space. He's like, I'll donate the space. So now we have a cafe that we're working on. So again, these, just to kind of illustrate that point of doing the next right thing, and then kind of the path unfolds. So to answer your question, we just started physical work on the space, and we're really excited about it. It's at a great little kind of nexus of, there's a community garden there, Socrates Sculpture Park, if those of you that are familiar with Astoria, but you'll all be invited when it's open. When will it be open? Probably mid to late summer, I would say.
Wow, so we're going to be able to invite everybody to the
Absolutely,
Occupy
yeah.
space.
We should invite everyone to the Wellington Court project, which is a art mural project happening right in the nexus of where we're going to open this place in Astoria next weekend, I think it is.
I think it's the 15th, yeah.
Is everyone all right with receiving an invitation to something, as well as to a follow-up meeting where we can get our different neighborhood assemblies and ask more explicitly what's next, what's the common
And
strategy?
we'll be hanging out drinking beers together, not
So
Look up
Frank.
Welling
Sorry.
Court mural project.
Frank.
Thank you. Well, I'm very interested in your comment about political organizing in regards to Occupy. I'm a member of the Green Party in New York State and active locally in Syracuse, New York. And we have a number of candidates, and as far as similarities between policies and beliefs and so forth, the folks in Occupy are involved with. The Green Party comes very close. Can't say obviously this exact the same, but it's very close. And so I would love to see more people from Occupy getting involved politically, locally at the same time. So this brings me back to this issue and the other comments about horizontal versus vertical structures and so forth, and that I think one of the detriments of not having some sort of, being organized and having organization of people is not the same as hierarchy necessarily, and so having people who are and can be identified as representatives of Occupy, who will then take that message back to or the group at large or the General Assembly. In the case in Syracuse, where there's not General Assemblies happening anymore now, I often don't know how to necessarily contact or who to contact, or when I go on the Facebook page that we have for Occupy there, I'm going to put the word out for people to come to this issue or action, or to come to be involved in this or that. But otherwise, it's, for Occupy to be involved, it's kind of like waiting for somebody to say, okay, I'm Occupy, and we're going to do this from Occupy. So it has to initiate there versus coming from outside, and me saying, oh, Green Party's doing this, my permaculture organization is doing this, our credit union is doing, our CFI credit union is doing this. Going to then somebody in Occupy, who does have, maybe a chair position. There's lots of ways that you can structure that organization. It's not hierarchical, but it is capable of creating more structure, even without active General Assemblies taking place on a regular basis. And so I think moving forward, maybe postulating that idea and those concepts more to the local groups, whether it's here in New York City or wherever the case may be, about having more organization and more structure of some sort, is a way to make potential for Occupy continuing and becoming more successful and more relevant. One strategy for here now.
Time is cruel. We have 5 minutes left. I'm going to have to go too, unfortunately. So then I have 4 speakers, so if you try to do it in a minute. I'm sorry to say, Rob.
Yeah, I want to talk about how to expand outside of Occupy, connecting with other organizations, using, like you have a labor issue right there to connect with other labor organizations. That's a great opportunity to have targeted events and then look at other groups that want to get involved in. The Resistance Against Exchange Stores, for example, started on 11th Street because 7-Eleven was going to open on 11th Street in Avenue A, and immediately the East Village Community Coalition, which has a local shopping guide, they were very interested in that because they wanted to promote small businesses. So it's an opportunity. These targeted events can actually bring in other organizations, and also something for decades of organizing. What I see is the thing that brings most people are actually not in my backyard issues and pocket issues. So even the CUNY student movement was huge. We had 20,000 students in City Hall, but that was really a pocketbook issue. So it's an opportunity to ride a wave. And one of the ways is something that Tom Angotti was mentioning. There's a tenants organization